even doctors are starting to be open to the idea of food as medicine. Like if you eat clean, you can kind of prevent things from happening with your body and make it so you don't have to get, so you don't have to eventually deal with high blood pressure and cholesterol. And like you said, you feel good, you feel sharper and stuff and more clean-minded.
What's up, guys? Welcome to the Line Check podcast. It's me, your host, Brennan Villarreal, and today I'm in the studio with Jason Cervantes. How's it going?
It's going very well, thanks. How about you?
How was your day? That was good, yeah.
Day's been good, enjoying the rain. Worked a day at the shop and went home and hung out with my brand new baby boy for a second. And
congratulations, by the way.
Yeah.
How's it feel to be a dad?
It's my second. I have a 19-year-old daughter with my ex, and then now a little Koa with my fiance, and it's a beautiful thing. It's already a lot of work, but usually the more you put into it, the more you get out of it, and it's been a beautiful experience. We're so blessed.
That's awesome. So the place that you own is called Lil Vegerie.
Lil Vegerie, yep.
Can you tell the audience a little bit about that?
Yeah. So Lil Vegerie is we do plant-based bowls and salads, all gluten-free, soy-free. We try to cover a lot of cultures. It's a little takeout spot, tiny little takeout spot in South Redondo Beach, a couple blocks from the water. We've got some cool accolades. We were named top 10 new restaurants by the Easy Reader. It's our local paper there. We Entrepreneur Magazine did a list last year of the top mom and pops in America, and we got number 3 for food. They covered a lot of different industries. And then last year also for Yelp made a list of the top 100 spots in LA County, and we got number 1 on that one.
Wow, awesome. Congrats.
Super stoked, yeah.
How long have you guys been open for?
May will be 2 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's good. Where did you get the concept for this restaurant?
Well, I'm not vegan. People think that, I own a vegan shop. They're kind of, I feel like I need to disclose that I'm not vegan because I'm just not there yet. But I love the benefit of, plants from a health standpoint, on our bodies and stuff. But the idea came, I'm trying to see where to start because it's a long story. I was furloughed during the pandemic, and I've always been open to vegan food. Like when Veggie Grill started coming out, I was like, let me go see what all this vegan stuff is about. And I remember being surprised how good it was for being vegan, and then going to all the different spots like Butcher's Daughter and Cafe Gratitude and these places. And so the pandemic happens, and I was furloughed from work, and was eating healthy at home and stuff, and exercising and making all these cool recipes and going to all the vegan restaurants and realizing like how good it can be, and like you can get all this flavor and texture and color out of plant-based food, and you feel good. And it kind of hit me that there are kind of limited options in general, but particularly where we live. And so by that time, it was like well into the pandemic, and I wasn't sure if I'd be ever have a gig as a restaurant manager again, because I was a director at a hotel at that time. And so I had looked around for work, and everything was closed, and nobody was hiring, and I panicked a little bit. Like, am I ever going to find a job again? And then we were making all this good food, and it tastes good, and it felt good, and realizing there were limited options. And honestly, I heard a song that my favorite artist in the world wrote during lockdown called "Evolve." And one of the lines in there, just hit me right in the face about like maybe it was time to evolve from a manager to an owner. And because the circumstances were right. I always said I would never try and open my own restaurant because it just seems like too much. But I promised myself if we ever had an idea with purpose, I would give it a shot. And it felt like it's purpose driven to make food like that, to help the community, for people that want to eat healthier or whatever. So that was it.
That's awesome. Yeah, eating healthy is very important.
Yeah.
And it just makes your body feel way better. I just started eating more vegetables this week, and I've just noticed my performance in work
Totally.
and my training for the marathon and all that other stuff. Um, and what's funny is I actually used to do a vegan pop up as well.
Nice.
Um, and before the pandemic in like 2018, it was a Filipino vegan pop up, breakfast pop up called Pogi Silog,
Mm.
which Pogi means handsome and Silog means fried rice and eggs,
Okay.
garlic fried rice and eggs to be exact. And so I do like some kind of version vegetable and pair it with a different kind of garlic fried rice, and then I could do egg or not do egg if
Yeah.
it's vegetarian or vegan without the egg.
Yeah. Yeah.
But there's really no like vegan Filipino food out there.
That sounds
So
delicious.
it got really popular, and I just felt good about making food that's accessible for people that like Filipino food that are vegan. And I wasn't vegan, I just had a good time making it. And also
Totally.
you get to be creative and making vegetables be very good.
100%.
Because a lot of people don't know how to cook vegetables like that, or in the chef's mind,
Because and
treat it like a protein.
exactly. That's one thing that I've learned that's come up a lot in running a vegan restaurant is the idea that like if you take a chicken breast or a fillet or any kind of protein, and if you just like boil it, there's no flavor, right? Like the
Yep.
flavor's not coming from the protein.
It's
It's like
gone.
how you dress it up and
Exactly.
seasons and spices and herbs and all that stuff. So yeah, it's really cool. A lot of people still think that that if you eat healthy, it's boring. And sometimes it kind of is. Like it's for me, a lot of times feels like you have to either choose to love the meal now and then feel good later, or the opposite. Like sorry, like either you love a meal, you love every bite, and then you kind of feel later, or you have a meal that's kind of boring, but then you feel great later.
Hmm.
But with food like plant based, a lot of times you can enjoy every bite and then feel good later. And for me, um, something happens like if I'm enjoying a bowl of food and I'm loving every bite, and then it hits me that like it's also healthy. I think something like spiritual happens where I kind of feel like high, like holy shit, this tastes so good and it's good for me. So yeah, that's what's exciting to do.
Yeah, I
The
really
restaurant.
love making sauces or dressings that go well with whatever the vegetable may be, protein, and that highlights it more, but also cooking the vegetables a certain way,
Yeah,
and whatever starch you may have in it. Um, it just tastes way better, and you feel way better. And there's like no MSG or like crazy things,
totally, 100%.
It's just pure, and then you feel really good after you're done eating it.
Yeah. And there's a lot of even doctors are starting to be open to the idea of food as medicine. Like if you eat clean, you can kind of prevent things from happening with your body and make it so you don't have to get so you don't have to eventually deal with high blood pressure and cholesterol and like you said, you feel good, you feel sharper and stuff and more clean minded. Um, yeah, and it's cool that our chef did a good job of covering a lot of different cultures. So there's and speaking of MSG and additives and stuff, we don't use any since we don't use soy, we don't use any of the fake meat.
Hmm.
So it's all just like vegetables. Like we do a poke bowl with just beets. We dice up the beets and marinate them
Hmm.
with sesame and nori. Lay them over wild rice with a cool sesame ginger vinaigrette, pickled cucumber. It's so good. It's like hearty, but got a lot of flavor.
Yeah, it sounds really good.
Um, our most popular dish is this mushroom carne asada, where we just dice up portobellos and marinate them with cilantro and guajillo and lime, and we cook them over. We cook them on the flat top and then lay them over wild rice. I'm sorry, Mexican rice, black beans, pico de gallo. Do a chipotle crema made from cashews. Yeah, it's really good.
Yeah, it sounds good.
Yeah.
There's a Long Beach mushroom farm here in Long Beach. um, you should try their mushrooms. They're just on the podcast.
Oh yeah.
But they grow all their mushrooms out of their warehouse. And their mushrooms are like super delicious, and I feel like that'd go great with your concepts and restaurant. There's a species called lion's mane.
Yeah.
That one's particularly like my favorite
Oh
because
yeah.
it you can like turn the chicken nuggets if you want to like just
Yeah. Yeah.
bread them and fry them, or treat them like a steak. Yeah, you should definitely check them out.
That sounds delicious. And it's interesting how mushrooms can still be one of those things that people just don't like, because they're like
Yeah,
slimy and chewy.
they're
And
so good.
we got one of our so our Yelps thankfully have been so good. And but we got one we have like 275 Yelps or something. And we have, in all those, they're all 5 stars, but we have 2 3 stars. And this one 3 star guy, he was like, yeah, I went to try, I'm not a vegan, but I went to go check this place out and I didn't like it. Like I finished my bowl, but it doesn't mean I liked it. So, of course, I shoot the guy a DM. I'm like, yeah, sorry I didn't like your bowl. Tell me a little bit more about it. Like our job is not food. Our job is taking care of people. I'd love to find something else you like. I was like, but tell me what you didn't like. And he's like, well, honestly, the mushrooms were slimy and chewy. And I'm like, well, bro, they're mushrooms. Like, of course they're going to be that way, But, and that's why, people ask, they always say, well, what's your most popular bowl? And I tell them our mushroom carne asada, but do you like mushrooms? Like if you don't like mushrooms, it won't be for you. So let's get you something else. But, I love all the different kinds of them. And there's a lot of, because those lion manes and the big, like the king oysters and the shrimp, they're not, they're expensive.
Yeah. Yeah, they're a little more pricey.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're really good. How do you usually, have you got any besides those 2 3s, have you ever got like a negative one, like a really bad one? Yelp review?
Thank God. No.
Yeah.
Yeah. All of our Googles, all of our Yelps are we've gotten 2 reviews by food critics. The one thing that the food critic who put us in his top 10 for our area beat us up because we use meat names. Like we do this one dish called the Philly cheesesteak, which it's a play on the sandwich, but it's in a bowl. So the bed is like this nice potato hash, big strips of marinated portobellos, fresh romaine, roasted peppers and onions, blistered little tomatoes, and then we make this smoky cheddar sauce with cashews. It's delicious. But if somebody doesn't walk you through what it is, and as a meat eater, you order something called a Philly cheesesteak, and you get this bowl, like there's a chance you're going to be let down.
Yeah.
And so he was let down by it, and then like I remember he called me before he published the article, and he's like, Jason, the food's really good, but like, what's up with these names? He's like, why would you call this a Philly cheesesteak? It's like, well, it's because the idea of the cheesesteak is there, and we have to call it something so people have an idea of what they're getting, And this poke, why would you call us you're a soy-free restaurant? You can't have a poke with no soy. What's the matter with you? And so that review read kind of negatively, And I remember people calling me to congratulate me on the article, and I'm like, thanks, but did you read it? Like, it didn't sound good. But and I remember he, like, even in the article he says food's good, but they need to figure out what's going on with their names, I remember thinking by that time we had already had a bunch of good Yelps, and it was like a head scratcher because I'm like, I have a food critic, a highly regarded food guy in the area, and he's strongly encouraging us to rethink this. But then we have all these like awesome Yelp reviews, people that love the food, so we just left it alone. And but that felt kind of negative. But thankfully, they've been mostly good. We're so lucky.
I feel like for vegans, I'm not speaking for all vegans, but a majority always like to eat something that reminds them of something they used to eat, because not all people are born vegans. They choose to be vegan.
Totally.
So I think that the nostalgic factor of something that they get to eat that's made for them, that has something they used to eat that was not vegan,
relatable, yeah,
is, I think that's a good thing to do, to name it after something that that is usually not vegan.
Totally. People do love that we don't use the fake meat, because a lot of that stuff processed.
I 100% stand by that.
Right.
No fake meat.
Totally, because they're like, well, it's all like synthetic and man-made, so if might as well just eat the real thing, eat a piece of chicken or something. But yeah, most of our customers are not vegan, and that's like one of the hard parts of having a restaurant like this is how do we, there's kind of the assumption that vegans, vegetarians are going to come, but how do we get the meat eaters, because we're still like a
Hmm.
hugely meat driven culture, right? So how do we get those people to come in and so big flavors, big textures, pretty colors, and then yeah, like name things that some people can attach to, because everybody loves a poke
Hmm.
bowl. Um, I think that's why the mushroom carne asadas are most popular, is because everybody knows carne asada, and so yeah, people appreciate something that they relate to.
I'd be down to eat that. It sounds good right now.
Yeah,
I'm hungry.
yeah,
I'm a really shitty eater.
same,
On not every day, but every time I get off of work, I'm like, okay, it's
same.
late. I'm hungry. What's open? You know what's open? Fast food. That's gonna be my demise eventually. I'd say just
Same.
fast food is my weakness.
100%. My fiance is a nutritionist, and so she inspired, of course, the whole vision. And she hates how I eat.
Oh, my girlfriend does too.
Yeah, yeah. Um, that was like a big part of the idea to do this. We were doing cleanses over the pandemic, and dude, I felt so high. Like from eating. Like I had sciatica for a long time. That like just after we cut out oil and salt and sugar and all that stuff, I'm not even joking. My sciatica went away after 10 years. I couldn't believe it.
Wow.
And but it's so hard because like fast food, it's so comforting, dude, and like God, but yeah, I love that stuff too.
You know what's funny is a lot of chefs, cooks, or industry people, they always go out to eat after work. And I think the like thing that people think is that we all eat like what we cook.
Right.
That's not the case at all. It's not the case. We literally like before we get off our shift, we're like, oh man, you know what sounds good is the Taco Bell Crunchwrap Supreme when I get
Yeah.
off work. Oh, I'm gonna
Yeah.
go in and out, get
Yeah.
myself two double doubles,
Yeah.
some animal style
Yeah.
fries. It's like we're just like hankering and just dreaming about this fast food
Dude.
mission right after we get off our
Yeah.
shift.
A buddy of mine, like I don't see him that often, and every time I see him, he laughs and reminds me. He's like, "Dude, I'll never forget that time I called you, and 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 he's like, I asked you how you were doing, and he said that I replied. I was like, dude, there's something wrong with me, and he's like, and I'm like, why? I'm like, cause I'm sitting in the Taco Bell drive-through about to order, and I have Burger King in my lap.
Wow, that's crazy. Back in the day, like 5 years ago, Zarek, I'd go to Taco Bell with this guy, and we get off work from LA, and we go there, and I would order like I think almost the whole menu.
Dude,
I'd order like Crunchwrap Supreme, probably like three chalupas, a Mexican pizza, probably chicken quesadilla, and a Baja Blast. That's like 7 items. I would like eat it all, and then I'd just be like, wow, what did I just do right now?
you put it down in one
I put it
sesh.
down. Yeah,
Oh man, I love
that
it.
was one of my metabolisms was very very high.
It's true. It happens. We get old. How old are you?
32.
Yeah. So you got some time. Like I'm 43 and it does not go down like it used to, bro. I used to like be able to jog it off the next day,
Yeah.
But um yeah, it's not the same as before, but it's still so good. I remember that my buddy who told me the order, he's like, dude, Taco Bell, you get a cheesy gordita crunch with avocado sauce. It's like an avocado ranch or something.
Whoa.
Yeah, I
I gotta try that out.
and the hot sauce on there because like that's one of my favorite combos. Like when you talk about good food and how it can be simple, like cream and spice together.
Hmm.
Love it.
I love that. I used to make these chimichangas, and I put sour cream and then put tapatio on it, and I just love the sour cream and tapatio
Yeah,
combo on it. It's so good because it's like hot, creamy.
it's so good. At the restaurants, like speaking of like, hey, you just do a quick go to snack or whatever. Like our Mexican rice, our salsa brava, and then our chipotle cream. So you got the creamy, the spicy, the savory from the rice. Dude, I could eat bowls of it.
Hmm.
It's so good.
Do you guys make beans too?
Yeah,
Like
black beans.
nice, yeah. That's always a good combo. Rice and beans and a sauce. I'll never
Oh yeah,
deny that at
right.
all.
That's your protein, fills you up, tastes good. You don't feel crazy. Like you might get a little gassy or whatever, but other than that, you're good.
So what aspirations do you have moving forward with La Vegerie?
um, it's exciting. I mean, the we made it small because it's all all we could afford. My first restaurant, so I couldn't raise that much
Mm-hmm.
money to do a giant build out. But it's good because making it small feels like it's easier to copy and paste once we have the right momentum um, and things catch on. We can do more of them. And I haven't set like a goal for like to have 10 in the next 10 years or whatever. But it feels like once we are able to do a number two, then we should be able to do them pretty quickly after that. Um, but the growth sounds exciting, but the most exciting part is to make stuff like that available to more people.
Mm-hmm.
Because I do think there's a lot of people that want to eat better, but like we talk about, they think it's boring or like they don't know where to get started. So to have one of these places where people can go and be like, wow, the food's filling, but it tastes good and feels good. So yeah, just to keep doing the right thing, and hopefully the word gets out and just make it happen.
Yeah, I feel like you guys would crush it next to a gym.
Right?
Yeah,
Totally.
like
Yoga spots. Yeah.
yeah. There used to be a spot over here in Long Beach. I forgot the name. It's called like Under the Rainbow, maybe. I don't know. It was next to a yoga studio.
Under the sun.
Yes, Under the Sun.
Yeah.
They're not around anymore. Actually, Sonora Town's gonna be in there from LA.
Yeah.
They're
Taco
opening that.
place.
Yeah,
It's so funny.
it's so good.
Dude, same thing happened in,
Yeah,
in Hermosa Beach. One of the like legendary vegetarian places went under and it got replaced by a burger spot.
yeah,
Burgers are fire
yeah.
there.
But
Yeah.
yeah, I feel like you guys would destroy in a next to a gym or yoga studio.
Yeah. I mean, it's the takeout format and the bowls and salads approach is, it's quick ticket times, everything's, out in
Yeah.
5-10 minutes.
Have you ever thought about doing it's called grab and goes?
Yeah. Um, it's one, there's like so many things that are on the list of stuff to do that once I have, because we have a tiny little team, there's three of us all in, and other resources that are kind of limited, but yeah, to make it because even though the format's super convenient, to have a grab and go would be even better. People just come in, grab what they want.
Yeah, grab and goes take up a lot of time. I had to do them before and like prepping everything. It's like you're basically meal prepping, and then you just have to throw everything into a container, which I
Yeah,
hate
yeah,
doing.
yeah.
I've always hated doing like takeout orders and putting the lid on it, and then
That's
putting in
annoying.
a little like ramekin
Yeah,
with a lid on it.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I just and then put the name
Oh
and
yeah,
what everything is. I
yeah,
just
yeah, yeah.
always hate doing that, and then sometimes you never know if you're gonna sell out of all the grab and goes before its expiration date too.
Totally.
Yeah, but I feel like with your guys' concept, it could work.
Yeah,
Depending on where it is. You
yeah.
know.
But that's another thing that I try and be mindful of is how you were saying it. It's annoying to do all that. Like I try and do things that the guys aren't going to kill me over.
Yeah.
So
Oh, and
hopefully,
labels too.
right?
Forgot about that.
So many
There's so
steps.
many things
Yeah.
things to think about. So getting to our final segment. Uh, Tell us your favorite in the weeds story.
It's so funny. I hear you asking all that other and I was like thinking about it, like what is my like best in the weed story, and like I think like subconsciously like I blocked so many of them out because they can be like traumatizing. But the ones I keep thinking about are one of them is actually like a reoccurring server nightmare that I have, and it's like a busy night. I'm like I feel new. I don't know where everything is. Station's full. This table needs dessert. This table needs change. This table wants to order, and I can't find change. I have $100 bill that I got to get change for this table for, and like this one time the register to get the change was like high up on a shelf. And I couldn't get there, and I'm like trying to like ask people around me, and like nobody will listen. And I remember one time, again, this is all a dream. The change was like at another place, like blocks away, and I was like, well, do I leave my station to go get this change? And then and so like I run out of the restaurant, and I'm like running, but like I'm running in slow motion, and like my station's just burning behind me, and like and I turn one corner and it's three more streets down, like And it just, those are the ones you wake up and you're like, oh, thank God. And it felt so real though, Um, that another one, when I was trying to build the restaurant, so I was a director at Hotel Maya in Long Beach. By the way, that's my only connection to Long Beach. So I feel
Cool.
for a second I was like, I can't even like be on this podcast. It's all like legit Long Beach people. But I left there.
For the record, we do everybody, not just Long Beach people,
They,
because we're trying to reach a bigger audience.
yeah,
But I love Long Beach. We're locals from Long Beach, so this is where we're based out of.
yeah.
Continue.
And so I left management after a lot of years of not being a server, and decided to do the restaurant. And then everything opens back up. So I needed a job while I was finishing building everything. And I got a job waiting tables at North Italia. And I hadn't been a server in like 12 years because I was in management. And I get put on a brunch shift. And I didn't know that brunches were gnarly at North Italia. And it's my first shift. Happens to be a jam and a brunch shift. And having worked in like nice restaurants, I hadn't dealt with like high chairs and like all crazy breakfast modifications and like, and it was just a nightmare. Like, full station, everybody wants something. I'm just, kind of like my actual nightmare. Didn't know where everything was. And I remember I go to like get an iced tea, and I get the scoop, and I go to shove to get the ice with the scoop. And in going in, because I was busy, I like hit my finger on the lip of the little door that closes the ice bin. And then I get my round of drinks, and I'm going out, and I didn't realize that I had cut my finger,
Yeah.
So I'm like at a table, like this big table of like 10 and kids, and shouting everything. And I'm about to take the order, and there's just like blood like dripping down my hand. And then they kind of looked at me weird, and I kind of was like, nah. And I don't know, just like that, all that chaos, I was so close to like just like literally like walking away,
Wow.
like just being done with it. But whatever. And then I made it through, and I lived to tell this story.
Yeah, it's crazy that guests don't treat servers like they're human beings. It's just like, this is just like not a human being right now. Like, in that like instance of that happening to you, the guests weren't like, "Hey man, you're bleeding. Are you okay?" It's just like, are you gonna take your order?
Yeah.
And you're also bleeding.
Right. Yeah.
I don't really care. I
Like,
just want my food.
yeah. Go put a glove on.
Yeah.
The in all my years in serving, it comes like, or like being in restaurants in general, it's like they come in spurts. Like you get this weeks at a time where you just get people sometimes that it feels like they don't, they, like you said, they look down at you kind of. And then there's weeks where like people are so cool, and like, they're so stoked to be out somewhere enjoying a nice time. And I'm just grateful that there's both. But sometimes
Yeah, it just depends on the place you're working, or
yeah.
And also the people too. Not every customer treats you like shit.
But also what I notice is sometimes when people are cranky or like acting a certain way, one thing that I learned and have to remind myself is that they're just hungry. Mm-hmm. Like if I can just get them a piece of, like, especially when I was working in fine dining, people are pissed because their tables aren't ready and all this stuff, and they're so mean. And but if I can get them like a splash of wine or like some bread,
Mm-hmm.
like really change like that,
Yeah. One of the chefs I used to work for, shout out Chef Dan. If a table was we're taking too long to give them their next course, what he would always say is like, well, do they have something on their table? And then the server would be like, yeah. It's like, well, there's nothing to be mad about. It's like, as long as they have something, then they're good. If you're taking a long time on your course, it's going to get to them eventually. But if they have something they're eating or drinking, they're happy. Just entertain them. Food's going to take a little bit longer on this next course, but as long as they're happy and they're with something, then everything's good. No stress.
One thing, I can't remember if like somebody taught me this, or I don't think I came up with it, but I love to do it, was if something was taking a long time and the kitchen's just dying, so like, it's going to be a little bit longer, is I remember being at a big event at a nice hotel somewhere once, and it was all coursed out, and one of the courses was a little scoop of sorbet, like a tiny little scoop of sorbet, because the idea was it cleanses your palate. So it was like an easy fix if something was taking a long time and it's going to be a while. Instead of going to the table like, hey guys, sorry, like it's going to be a little bit longer. Just bring like a little bit of sorbet for the table, and here you go, a little palate cleanser. It'll be a few more minutes, but enjoy this on the house while you wait. And that was cool. People
That's
like that.
cool. I like that
Yeah,
idea. It was really good to have you on the podcast today.
it's good to be here.
If you want to shout out your IG handle for Lil Vegerie
Yeah,
to the audience.
Lil Vegerie, Livegerie. Plant-based bowls and salads. We'd love for everybody to come check it out, and can't wait to have you.
Located in the South Bay, Redondo Beach.
South Redondo Beach, 2 blocks from the water. Grab a bowl, have a picnic on the beach.
And
You'll love
eat
it.
healthy. That's it. And that's your line check for today. Go check them out. Bye.